everyone, I'm Jen from Practical by Default, Solutions for the Working Homeschool Mom. Today I wanted to talk about and answer one of the questions that I get a lot, and that is, how do you use the Big Life Journals in your home if you happen to get them and your kids are not on board using them the way they're supposed to be used? So one of the things that I'm a big believer in is using things in a way that work for you. So if you don't know what journals I'm talking about, I'll show you. The original Big Life Journal looks like this. The writing's going to be backwards, but it says Big Life Journal, okay? And then they have the teen edition that just came out recently. Okay, so these journals are very, very popular and they are amazing. They have tons of activities and they really help your child learn how to think positively, build their confidence, help their mindset and their mind growth. They're great, and they're designed for you to use with your kids or for your kids to use together and work their way through it. But have you ever bought something that you thought would work perfectly for your kids, and then your kids go, nope? All right, so when this happens, you have a choice. You can return the product, you can resell the product, you can gift the product, or you can make it work for you. So today I'm going to show you how I use these journals in the wrong way for both of my teenagers. Let me see if I can push up a little here. All right, so first of all, when you look inside the journals, you're going to see no writing. Well, there is writing in them, but the pages I show you won't have any writing. The reason is because when you're homeschooling or being a parent with your kids, you're teaching them, you need to respect their individuality and their privacy. And as a blogger, I have promised not to show the public what is inside these journals. That is with my kids, and it's their personal thoughts and goals and all that private stuff. So it's not that I haven't used them, but I wanted to explain because you might be going, well, there's no writing in these. How do you know? The writing that you see in this one, if you see any, is actually mine. And it's a key of how I make this journal work for us. So I'm going to start with this journal. This is the original journal. It's for younger kids. I think it's usually around age 12. I don't listen to that because you know what works best for your kid. And so I think it's really important that you do what works for you. But you are more than welcome to use it with younger kids as it's designed. So the way it's supposed to work is you take out this journal and you give it to your child and they look through and they fill it out and they answer the questions and you talk about it, maybe meet once a week, see how that works out for you, and then you keep going. When I showed my daughter this, she was like, no. So how was I going to use this? Because it's a really good journal and it was something that she really needed, because confidence is something that's really hard to build in your kids, especially if you don't have confidence yourself. Our children learn from our example. So what I did is we had a mommy-daughter date once a week, and instead of having her fill out the journal, I filled it out. So you can see my really messy handwriting and drawing pictures here. So as we work through it, we talk about the questions. I'll share with what I'm working on. One of the questions is, what did you want to do when you were older? And, did you actually turn into that? No, I didn't. You got to draw a picture of what that would look like. And so when I shared personally what my dreams and what I wanted to do and how I was going to get there, it encouraged her to share as well. And we include food and treats and all that jazz. So that is how I made the younger Big Life Journal work for me. And even though she's older than, the 12 that it was meant for, the questions and the conversations we had were really, really good. So I made this work for me by using it as a jumping point or finding something that we could have in common to talk about. Now, as a busy working mom, sometimes finding those one-on-one moments with my kids is really hard. And then when you finally have 10, 15 minutes, I didn't know what to talk about or what questions to ask or how to go about it. So this is where I found that the journals really come in handy. Now, when the Big Life Journal for Teens came out, I have a 16, 17-year-old boy. And I showed him the journal. Let's try right side up. I showed him the journal and he's like, oh yeah. And he like talked about the quality. He said the cover's really cool because he likes designs and he likes talking about that. And, you know, he said he loved the bookmark. And when I said, hey, would you like to fill this out? He said no. Are you seeing a pattern here? But again, I decided to do this differently. Now, in this one, I haven't written in it. So you're not going to find my writing in it. But what I have done is read it myself. So I go through and I know, for example, he's 17 and a lot of people, you know, he's in grade 11. A lot of people are saying, what are you going to do when you're done school? What do you want to do with your life? What are your goals? And he doesn't know. His answer's like, I don't know. I don't know. And I was laughing because a lot of people say, does that make you panicky that he doesn't know? No. When I was 17, I didn't know what I wanted to do. When I was 25, I still didn't know what I was going to do when I grow up. You know, I'm older now and I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up. So it doesn't freak me out. But as a person who loves to set goals, you know, every week I set a goal of what I want to do and how am I going to accomplish that. And I make a plan and a checklist and I figure that out. Having a child who doesn't have a goal can be difficult. You know, how am I going to make that a see eye to eye? How's that going to work for us? So one of the pages in here, activities, the whole chapter is about goal setting. You know, how are you going to do it? Dreaming up your big life. See this page here? But what is really cool is inside it has a checklist. So what I really liked about this, for example, is so many people are like, success is making tons of money, or success is living in a big house and having a fast car. But success can actually be different things. In fact, Big Life Journal says that your version of success, it can be as unique as you are. Then it gives us some really great questions. It says, you know, how does success look? To me, success means, you know, what does this feel like? What does it look like? What does it mean that you're doing? And how are you going to reach that? And it talks about things such as changing the world or helping others, you know, or simple things that people expect, like graduating, finishing the school year can be success. You know, it doesn't have to be this massive mountain that's overwhelming to our children. So what I'm using the teen edition for is giving me ideas, questions, conversations, open-ended conversations to ask my kids. The value of asking and talking and communicating with your kids about open-ended questions is that it allows them to really express the way they're feeling without saying yes or no. Because, you know, kids, especially I find teenagers, or at least my teenagers, when I ask them questions, I get a lot of, yeah, I don't know, yeah. So we want them to open up. We want them to, you know, express their opinion. We want them to have confidence to do that. And we want them to talk to us as parents. You know, a lot of people, when your kids are teenagers, okay, I grew up hearing, when your kids are teenagers, they're not going to want to talk to you. When your kids are teenagers, and I don't know if it's because we homeschool or the way that our family is, my kids talk to me. Now, it's not always with words. It's often with body language. The way they're talking to me, the things that they're saying and the things they're not saying are very important. One thing I will say that I have found works very, very good is to never sit directly across from my kids when we're talking. I try to put us side by side. That way, when we're talking, I'm not focused on them. I'm not laser focused on them, because what that does is it makes them very uncomfortable. I mean, I don't like it. If you're staring at me and asking me these questions, I start to feel very uncomfortable and unsure, and I'm scared to make a mistake. What if I say the wrong thing? So I don't want my kids to feel that way. So that's one thing that I found that really helped me. But being inspired by the Big Life Journal has helped me change the wording of the questions that I'm using in a way that gets my kids to kind of open up and think about other things. It makes them have better possibilities. At the same time, it is upbuilding and builds their confidence without making them feel that whatever answer they give me is wrong, because it's their personal opinion, right? It can't be wrong. Another thing I really like about this is I'll read the stories. So let me see if I can find one in here. So one of the stories in here is about, one second, I can never find it. I should have bookmarked it. Anyways, it was about Thomas Edison. And so I'll read the story, and then the kids will say, Mom, what did you do today? And I'm like, oh, you know what? I read this cool story about Thomas Edison, and this is what I learned. And then they'll say, oh yeah, we studied him in school, and this is what they learned. It's getting that conversation going. Maybe I'm the only one that after working all day, my brain is kind of fried, and I can't think of what I want to talk about or what I want to say or how I can continue this conversation with my kids and get them to think outside the box and get them to think of, you know, other ways of doing things. So the questions and the stories and the poems and, you know, the graphics, I mean, they're beautiful. They really are, and they really connect with our kids. So, you know, maybe I don't use this in the way that you're supposed to. Maybe you've purchased the Big Life Journal, one of them or the other one, and you can't get your kids to do them the way you want them to. By all means, I mean, you have lots of options, but why not think of ways that maybe you can use the book anyways in a way that connects with your kids. Spark great conversations, have big ideas, have deep discussions, and, you know, share. By all means, share what your hopes and dreams are and how you overcame the obstacles that stood in the way and how you reached them anyways, because our kids learn from our examples, and there's some really good examples in this book if you can't think of any. Anyways, I wanted to answer that question because people ask me all the time, you know, they say, you got these journals. I often don't share the inside, especially of the second one where my daughter has sort of kind of written, because it's private. So, you know, we want to respect our kids and their privacy, but at the same time, you can encourage others. So if you have a Big Life Journal and you're using it, I would love to hear how you're using it in your homeschool or your life or your parenting. Let me know how that's going for you. What's your favorite page? What's your favorite thing about it? And leave it in the comments below. All right, thanks for hanging out with me today, and have a great one.